In the public service, you must get profits by delivering the services. People of this country will be happy if health services are being delivered, if case backlog is being reduced, if water, clean water is delivered to the people of the country. People will be happy. Those are the profits. And you should be paid for that. We are actually earning what we have not invested. People are waiting for their salaries to come, and that's it. Not all of them, there are some who are hard working, there are many who are hard working, but a good number of them, if you want to do a survey, you will find that many, maybe as low as 30% are investing a lot of time to deliver services to this country. 70%, as I told you, are like part-time. They come to the office because they have to come to the office to be seen. But if you ask each and every public servant, what have we done today? Of the tasks you are given, what have we completed? There are very few who will answer those questions. It comes now back to the question of who are these people?
During the National Service Delivery Survey dissemination meeting, leaders says that government programs have in the past been greatly affected by civil servants who are bent on fulfilling their own personal aspirations at the expense of the public.
There are some of these weaknesses which have been observed, you know, as Mr. Pius Bigirimana mentioned. Yes, people who actually cheat on work. They are there, they come, they don't do much, they go away, and they are paid. That is a form of theft, really. It is corruption.
I can't leave this place without talking about corruption, like the Permanent Secretary talked about it. I think for me, is I said previously that if you go to Japan and you are spending money, you harm yourself. It's a no. You harm yourself. You don't delay. You don't even further cause. In China, they help you to harm you. But in this country, I don't think we are anywhere close to even discouraging people from getting money from public service. It's extremely. We are still our laws. We have the policies, the laws, but I think enforcement is becoming a bit of a challenge. Just a few cases, you know, IGG, you steal money now, it is a negotiation. I don't know if bias is this the new norm of negotiating. Please, you have taken this money, bring it back. You write an agreement to agree that I will pay back the money I have taken. I don't know if it is part of the bargaining that has come in place.
According to Inspectorate of Government report to Parliament, January-June 2022, the IG created a Directorate of Special Investigations to expeditiously investigate organized, syndicated and high-profile cases of corruption of value in excess of 1 billion shillings. During the period, a total of 566 were investigated and completed. Some of the high-profile cases involved mismanagement of funds by Director Local Government Administration and permanent secretaries.
It is not job to promote corruption. So I think it's very important, every stakeholder, you are accountable to ensure that what is in here is implemented to the dot.
What's there? And the more we deepen technology, the more we deepen e-government, the less corruption will be possible. And eventually, the detection rate will go up, and when you're detected, you're broadcast, and you are shut out of the system. But secondly, science, technology, and innovation, we are here to give Ugandans a positive vibe. Sometimes people are corrupt because they feel that the world is ending, so they must steal whatever they need to steal now. But when we have a very promising future, why steal? When you know what you can get out of your chicken when it hatches, why eat the egg? So we are also working on the mindset of the nation.
According to the same report, despite the COVID-19 pandemic, The investigation recommended for a recovery of 1,120,942,504, out of which 618,549,714 was recovered and deposited on the IG Asset Recovery account. Bedson Mumbere, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
That's government on corruption, and of course regarding the government considering employing a contract-based system that's to control incompetency, that's to curb laziness and corruption. There is a concern that these workers are paid too much but they deliver less. And away from that, let's get straight to new oil reserve explorations, as the Uganda National Oil Company is preparing to issue another license. A license for another oil block that was being explored for potential oil reserves. Let's have the details.
In May 2019, Uganda launched the second licensing round for petroleum exploration at the 9th East African Petroleum Conference and Exhibition in Mombasa. This round covers 5 blocks in the Albertine Graben, among which include Block 1, a VV area covering 1,026 kilometers, Block 2, Omuka, covering 750 kilometers, and Kasulubani, covering 285 kilometers, of which the Uganda National Oil Company is looking for a joint venture partner to develop it with.
To develop the Kasulubani block with, but as soon as we get it, we'll start on the works. But once the works are done, the work programs and budget for the initial year. In that year, we'll be looking at possibility of getting a potential joint venture partner to develop it with. Finalize the arrangements between us and SNOC, and we are going to put in the application directly with the state under Section 53(2)(c, and we hope that probably by half of next year we'll have closed the negotiations with the state and the grant of the license.
The question of who and how Uganda's crude oil will be stored has been lingering on many people's minds.
So the Upstream Act makes that a mandate of Uganda National Oil Company. So we are mandated to sell all crude oil received in kind by the state and indeed by UNOC. Right now, as a company, we are developing a crude oil marketing strategy that is intended to be ready for execution 2024. And the idea is that at that point we should be ready when we are lifting the crude in Tanga, to tank it and sell it to the international market.
The EU Parliament has rubbed Ugandan authorities the wrong way. In fact, the last 2 weeks have been marked by a sense of uncertainty. The managing director of Total Energies, while speaking in the light of the EU's resolution, he urged international community to withdraw pressure on Ugandan and Tanzanian authorities. He also mentioned that the drilling rigs have started making their way in the country.
There will be 3 rigs, drilling rigs, operating in Tilenga. One has left China. The second one will follow in 2 months. And the third one will follow the second one 2 months later. And we will drill with 3 rigs, the 426 wells.
Energy is a key driver for economic growth world over. Therefore, overcoming energy poverty is a huge global challenge. Rana Nahabwe, Business Today, Smart 24 TV.
And that's regarding that particular aspect. And of course, away from that, let's head to the Investors Week, as the Uganda Securities Exchange, together with Capital Markets Authority, join the rest of the world to celebrate the World Investors Week, but this time around aimed at empowering women to participate into the capital markets. Let's have the details.
Gender imbalances seem to come to an end. This follows the growing empowerment of women in all sectors. And today the business sector, through the Uganda Securities Exchange, has taken a tremendous move by empowering women with knowledge and information to join capital market. As Paul Bwiso, the CEO, Uganda Securities Exchange, narrates.
1,000 miles, but the first step is important. Early this year, we had the Ring the Bell for Gender Equality, where we had the same conversation. And as we keep undertaking these events, we believe women will learn and join and participate within the industry, because having an investment portfolio and different asset classes away from the traditional, I've got a small business, investing in land, you're able to have a return on investment and have your money, what the famous statement, have your money work for you. So those are some of the benefits that women will get. But yes, we believe there's a long journey ahead, but every discussion counts.
Capital markets provide capital for business growth, but there has been a challenge of attracting companies due to ignorance of how equity markets operate and low valuation in terms of operating capital, especially in terms of transparency, with further scrutiny placed on financial records, governance structure, and tax compliance. Miriam Musali, the Deputy Legal and Border Affairs Capital Markets Authority, has disclosed the solution of ignorance in the capital market.
We are here to empower you. We are a government entity. We have a responsibility and a mandate as far as capital markets is concerned. If you need information, we are there. We can come to your offices. We can speak to the staff. If you're a business and you would like more information about the opportunities available, come to us. If you're running a business that is, a sizable business that could actually exit through the capital markets, we also have a team that's ready to give you this information. So I hope that you will take this and that you will approach us, and we'll be really excited to see our capital markets grow. I also want to charge you, you know how they tell people, I charge you to go and be ambassadors. We want you to go and be ambassadors of capital markets.
Speaking to some of the participants, they shared their anticipations in regards to the knowledge obtained at the event.
Business people, it is so relevant because as medium-sized enterprises or even smaller businesses, we should be looking at different options of financing, other than always thinking about maybe commercial banks and all other alternatives that we may have. We believe that the opportunity has been opened for us to understand, to have information regarding capital markets, the equities, the bonds. This is a language that is not so common in our business circles. So I think it was a very useful engagement, information sharing, and perhaps challenging us business people to find even more information regarding this market.
Capital market being among the avenues of raising business capital, the idea of empowering women in the sector can promote their involvement in the business, and this will be through direct investments in the market and also empowering women investors to gain capital. Desire Nambiru, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
The celebrations were aimed at promoting, and of course, the involvement of women in business through direct investors in the market and women enterprises gaining capital. All right, and we wind this up with the evolution of transport that's in Uganda, as transport is one of the most crucial sectors in Uganda, of which other sectors directly or indirectly depend on. Therefore, the state of transport infrastructure largely impacts the performance of other sectors respectively. Today, the major focus relies on the bus transportation. Let's have a look at the evolution.
Transport in Uganda dates back in the 1940s. Then, the Uganda Transport Company was the country's major bus company. On the piece of land where we had the bus park for decades, a huge shopping mall has been put in place. This is one piece of evidence that the Rocky Road, in relation with the bus transport, a commonest means of public transport for long distances, has trodden.
TC Transport had its terminal here in the city center, where there is a Mukwano building. That whole place facing the Chikubo place. There was even a petrol station called Toto. It used to belong to UTC even. So it almost had like an acre and more than an acre.
The late 60s was the best time for the bus business as well as passengers. They were always on schedule. If a passenger missed one bus, another was always on time. The buses would exchange routes so that if one took one route at a certain time, it could take a different one at another time of schedule. School children were not charged any fare as long as they were proper in school uniform.
People were enjoying it for one thing. They had their communication because the bus would leave here, then in Kayabwe. They had their offices in Kayabwe, then they had another office in Masaka, whereby people would go there and book. For us individuals, we cannot manage to have all those. Yeah. So that's why we feel this business of transport is not good for us. Most companies are going to fall out of the business.
These days, there are very many people who are employed in line with the bus transport company, including stewards and blockers, who have given hard time to bus owners and the fact that there is no public bus park. The privately owned bus parks cannot control them.
These days, the blockers, they give us also hard time. They even come and say, I've brought this person, you have to take him for this money. As if he's the one who bought the bus, really, which is, we really don't know. Bosses of ours, the owners of the park, they cannot control those people. Unless I think it should be KCC, who has the enforcement officers who can work with those people. Otherwise, but since these parks are private owned, that's the major problem. The government has failed. If it could secure us a place and say that's a park for buses, I think then we would be able to control these blockers.
It is said that back in the time, there was no traffic jam as it is now. It is estimated that travelers lose between 8 and 23 hours every month in traffic jam, with car travel speeds falling from average of 28 kilometers per hour to between 8 and 14 kilometers per hour due to traffic jams, according to research conducted by Uganda Management Institute. But there has been a new innovation of introducing buses seeking to change the mobility sector in a way that will compel other industry players to raise up to standards.
The objective is to transform mobility within the city, and the solution we are bringing a mass carrier means of transport, that is the buses. You leave your car home and you're able to have a comfortable, well-organized means of transport. For example, if you're able to jump onto a bus, which is a comfortable means of transport, which is affordable, which is going to be a bit faster, I think it's going to reduce the number of vehicles on the road, because 10 people who use 10 cars are now going to be onto a bus. And that means that space is going to remain and can be used by another bus, for example, that is going to carry more other 35 people.
However, the veteran transporter said the Tondeka bus initiative is good since it is cheap and comfortable, but urged government to reconstruct bus stops for the betterment of the city.
The government, like they have introduced this Tondeka bus, I'm not seeing it in the city center. Mainly Tondeka is on the northern bypass. Otherwise, if they would bring like those type of Tondeka bus, like 200 buses, I think those ones, they would be more useful here within the city center. But again, where to park them is also a problem with our city structure. So you have to go back and make those bus stations, bus stops within the city center.
Tondeka joins a number of other mass transit bus services, among them Pioneer Easy Bus, that have previously sought to change the manner in which the transport system in Kampala operates. Monica Nabyonga, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
And that's regarding the evolution of the transportation, but in particular, the bus transportation. And let's get into a short commercial break. Coming up is, of course, press review, and from there we shall head straight to the international news, and we shall wind up the hour. That's till 8 a.m. with the business tips and quotes. And let's get into a short commercial break. We return. Good morning.
Smart 24, driving business.